A new blog post is up for Marvel Legendary Marvel Studios' The Infinity Saga. This one is all about the brand new keyword, sacrifice. Let's find out what it does and which heroes have this keyword. Some Avengers had to make the ultimate sacrifice in the name of defeating Thanos. That commitment and the weight it carries comes into play thanks to this keyword. When a card with sacrifice is played and other conditions are met, such as playing a ranged card first, you may KO that card to use its sacrifice ability. Our first look at an uncommon from this set, Invoke the Time Stone. Doctor Strange's uncommon. It is a ranged card to recruit at a cost of 5. This is one of those cards with phasing and sacrifice. It's got phasing and then ranged sacrifice. Take another turn after this one. Don't play a card from the villain deck at the start of that turn. This is great. It's representing him using the Time Stone to buy a little bit more time, but making the sacrifice to do so. And again, given regular distribution, there's only going to be 3 of these cards in Doctor Strange's hero set, so you have a maximum of 3 opportunities to use this, unless you can pull it out of the KO pile somehow. And here's where phasing comes in handy. You can keep on phasing this, put it to the top of your deck until you're ready to make that sacrifice. I can imagine scenarios where you have 2 or 3 of these. Let's say you have 2 of them in hand. You could phase one to the top of the deck, play the one you have in your hand, sacrifice this card, and then you can do that again the next turn. So you can basically take 3 turns in a row while only playing 1 card from the villain deck total, which is kind of a big deal for a lot of situations. And this has big implications because there are cards in other sets that will actually pull cards out of the KO pile. So if you keep bringing this back in, you can really extend the game while not playing a ton of cards from the villain deck. I would love to see how this works in randomizers specifically. But speaking of Doctor Strange so far, his 2 commons also have the ranged class and have phasing. So a lot of manipulation with the top of the deck for Doctor Strange across the entire hero set, which does make sense. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't understand the full implications of Invoke the Time Stone yet. We're going to have to wait and find out. So like many of you, I assumed we would not see any returning characters from previous MCU sets in this one playable as heroes, but we were wrong. Here is Bruce Banner. This looks to be his first common. It's a strength card, 1+ attack, and a cost of 1. It's got strength sacrifice. You get +3 attack. You may KO a card from your hand or discard pile. So a one-time use as Hulk goes up against Thanos and embarrassingly loses from the beginning of Infinity War. And KOing a card is important because it doesn't just mean a hero, it could mean a wound, it could mean a scheme twist that's there for some reason. Very useful. Now, as it's a sacrifice card, it's only designed to be used once, but that fits with the title Burst of Rage. It's a quick burst and then it's gone. A couple of interesting facts. This is any version of Hulk's first 1-cost card. This is the second hero set that has Bruce Banner in the name. The first one was in World War Hulk and focuses mostly on non-transformed Bruce Banner. And speaking of Bruce Banner, since Bruce Banner takes many forms across these 2 films, this version of Hulk, Bruce Banner himself, and then Smart Hulk in Endgame, I assume we're going to see all 3 versions, and I'm very curious as to what his rare is going to be. But this means that if you listed 5 heroes you thought would be in this set, at least one of them is wrong if you didn't say Bruce Banner, and I'm looking forward to finding out who that will be. Some more details on sacrifice. Sacrificing a card this way is always optional. You don't have to use the ability and KO the card, even if you met its prerequisites. The decision also has to be made as soon as you play the card. You cannot wait to do so later during your turn. If you do sacrifice, you'll still get all attack, recruit, and other abilities from the card. It was also still played this turn for the sake of other abilities. That said, it's no longer one of your heroes or a hero you have, since it's gone to the KO pile. Now this is interesting. It's specifically not a superpower because after the class icon there is no colon. It's kind of like the ambush abilities on the Black Panther heroes where you have to have a card of that class to trigger the effect even though it's not a superpower, except here you have to have played a card of that class to trigger it like a superpower, except it's not. It's going to take me a bit to get the hang of this. Here's a look at Black Panther's other common, Great Many Lives Lost. Again, all his cards are dual class. This one's no exception. Strength and Instinct, gives 2 recruit and has a cost of 4. Instinct, Sacrifice. KO up to 2 cards from your hand and or discard pile. You are in Wakanda now. Thanos will have nothing but dust and blood. So if we start by comparing this to a shield officer, it does give you the 2 recruit, but unlike a shield officer, it has dual class, and you can also get rid of it and take some other cards with it, hence the 1 more cost, which doesn't seem to be that much of a higher cost for all that you're getting. But think about later on in the game when you don't need as much recruit and you're done getting the benefit from the dual class, you can KO this card by sacrificing it if you've played an Instinct before, and then you get to KO up to 2 more cards. Again, doesn't mean heroes necessarily. It could mean scheme twists you have in your hand or discard pile, could be wounds, could be anything else. So you basically thin your deck by 3 optimizing things, and this is a common, so there's probably going to be, unless there's a weird distribution, 5 of these. So that is actually a ton of KO power. This one doesn't seem to be so bad of an easy pickup because, again, you know you can probably get rid of it later. I'll also note that even though both cards give you Instinct, Avengers Reassembled, Black Panther's other common, relies on you to have all 5 hero classes, so you may not want to get rid of Great Many Lives Lost that quickly if you don't have a strength from another source. One other thing to note is that the image here doesn't really show Black Panther, at least directly. This is the war on Wakanda when Thanos' forces and the Outriders are attacking the dome, which is pretty cool to see. It's a little odd that we can't see Black Panther, but with the theming of this card KOing a bunch of stuff, it makes sense. And keeping in theme with the sacrifices, we've got our first look at a scheme from the Infinity Saga, Sacrifice for the Soul Stone. Setup, twist equal to the number of players plus 4. Twist, you may KO one of your non-gray heroes and one of your gray heroes to sacrifice for the Soul Stone. If you do, draw 3 cards, shuffle this twist back into the villain deck, then play another card from the villain deck. If you don't, stack a hero from the HQ next to the Mastermind, sacrificed for the Soul Stone. Evil wins when the Mastermind has sacrificed 5 heroes for the Soul Stone. So this is tricky. Combined with the sacrifice keyword in this set, you're already going to be getting rid of a lot of your non-gray heroes by sacrificing them for their abilities. And then this scheme is going to make you have to sacrifice even more or suffer the consequences of potentially losing to the scheme. I could see this being particularly difficult for solo. That is 5 total twists, so you're going to lose some of your hard-earned stuff. If you have maybe a rare, you could potentially have a rare card out with no other non-grays. At least it does let you thin your deck a little bit by KOing one of your gray heroes as well. I could see you have an easier time with some other expansions mixed in, like if you wanted to just mix the MCU stuff together. Spider-Man is in the core set and in Homecoming, so you could throw all those together, and Spidey gets a lot of non-gray heroes, so losing 1 or 2 to sacrifice for the Soul Stone wouldn't be a big deal, but some others, like the ones in this set, is probably going to be a different story. So I could see this being very difficult if you're really not building your decks with some extra non-gray heroes that you could afford to KO. That's it for blog 2 about the sacrifice keyword. Let me know in the comments what you think about this new keyword, and also with Bruce Banner being the 3rd hero in this set, there's going to be at least 1 more blog post and hopefully a release date. If that does happen, I will bring it to you here, and until then, take care.